What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Zach Brinker from alphaenergymethod.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about these top 7 foods that I highly recommend that you be avoiding to eliminate the high estrogen from your diets, especially as a man. Like, we need to be avoiding these foods if at all possible, and really practice moderation is, key in some of these things. Some of these things you can implement sparingly in your diet, and there's some things that I would recommend just completely avoiding. So number 1 is meats. Now you're probably thinking, Zach, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I can't have my meat. No. Now, before you get too overly excited, when I'm saying meat, I mean like the heavily processed hormone pumping meats that a lot of conventional farm raised animals go through, the conventional process of really producing these meats at a large scale for people to eat and consume on a daily basis. That kind of meat consumption is, in my opinion, it's very unethical, and it's also it causes a lot of estrogen. So if you think about it, if you're eating a cow that's pumped full of estrogen and hormones, where do you think that's going? Do you think it just dissipates and just you don't see it? No, it goes directly to you, to the consumer. They butcher the cow, they butcher the meat, you're getting that as a byproduct. It's like, hello, here's a special treat, you're getting that. So to avoid this, I recommend opting for bison, which has heavy regulations on the meat quality, and it's illegal to actually use hormones or any of that antibiotics or BS for proper when they raise that. Now, another option to bypass the high estrogen content in meats, like pork, the chicken, the beef, that kind of stuff, you want to go for a grass-fed, grass-finished, or also if you're going for like eggs, go for pasture-raised. The reason being is this is going to be the highest quality for your health, and you're going to get more micronutrient benefit from it. You not have to deal with the the hormones and the estrogens. You don't have to deal with that stuff because it's going to be in a grass-fed, grass-finished, high-quality meat. Number 2 is you want to avoid milk, aka I call milk liquid estrogen. Now you're probably thinking, damn, I can't have my cereal anymore. Well, that's a topic for another discussion, but milk is another byproduct of cows who are heavily, pumped full of hormones, antibiotics, and the fat content is the stuff that you're going to be getting in that milk, aka liquid estrogen. So to avoid this, you want to go for organic, high quality milk. Go for even avoiding milk altogether, or trying to go for a low percentage, like 1% fat-free milk. If you have to go for conventional farm-raised products, like if you can't really afford raw milk, or if you don't know anybody who you trust, raw milk is going to be superior because the fermentation process, and you're getting some live cultures from that. So that's always going to be superior. Now, it's not really talked about, and it's not really promoted. You're not really going to see unless you know somebody who's a farmer who works in dairy, because they don't really sell it because it has to be pasture raised and stuff or pasteurized to go through the conventional store process and stuff like that, and follow the guidelines. But if you know a trustworthy farmer, raw milk is the way to go. Now, if conventional raised milk, conventional raised processed milk, you can do a 0 fat-free or 1%. Like I said, milk in general and in large consumptions, this is something like to make sure you're avoiding. Now, if you're drinking it every now and then, you're fine. If you're drinking whole milk every now and then, you're fine. But when I'm reading these things, I'm talking about someone who's heavily consuming these products all the time, like every day. That's where it comes into a little bit of a obsession that you want to kind of scale back, be more moderate with that, or sparingly with that. But if you're someone who is implementing, whole milk, try to cut back to, 1%, skim milk. I know it's going to taste different, but I'm telling you, you're not going to get all those hormones, and it's going to serve you really well because you're not going to develop man boobs because of it. because the high estrogen, the high phytoestrogen content that's found in, you know, conventional farm-raised milk is like, that's a byproduct, and that's what you're going to end up having. You're essentially pumping your body full of more estrogen. And these are just two examples. Number 3 is carbohydrates. You're probably thinking, damn, I can't have my carbohydrates. No, you can. But be mindful of the foods you're consuming. I always talk about this a lot of times with my guys, with my people on my social media. If you're not following me already, 𝗁_Brinker is my Instagram. 𝗁_Brinker is my Facebook. You know, I post Monday through Friday on my Facebook. I'm really active on my Facebook, so you should go ahead and follow me there, connect with me there, and that's where I usually put a lot more content, even in my Facebook group. But carbohydrates that I'm referring to specifically is pasta, pizza, and bread, processed breads. These are more heavily processed foods. The reason these are high estrogen foods is because what happens is when you usually consume these foods, you ever notice that you feel more bloated, you're training more water weight? It's because there's more estrogens activated from the food. Your body's holding on to more estrogen now. Now, it's not a long-term thing, but if you consume these things over the long term and all the time, then it will. Then you developed other issues because of that. But if you notice that temporarily, like you get more bloated than usual, I myself was one of those victims. Like I always felt bloated. That's why I don't eat bread and stuff anymore as a carb source. But I used to feel bloated all the time. I was like, what the hell is going on? I felt sluggish, felt low in energy. This affects you guys if you consume these foods all the time. So really be mindful of the food quality that you're consuming. And like I said, you don't have to go quit cold turkey, but if you're consuming these on a daily basis, it might be good to scale back, add other healthy carb sources in to really give your body the energy and the performance it needs. Number 4 is alcohol. You're probably thinking, Zach, what are you doing, man? I can't even have alcohol. Alcohol, everything in moderation. Overall, the main topic I want to emphasize is everything's in moderation. But alcohol, more specifically beer, the hops from the beer contains a lot of phytoestrogens. Now, if you're drinking beer in moderation, like very sparingly, you know, every now and then you have an occasional drink, that's fine. But if you are drinking it like every day, you're a daily social drinker, and you're drinking a lot of beer all the time, or you party and you get drunk all the time, you're building up a very toxic estrogen load in your system. And if you notice a lot of guys who are beer drinkers who brag about having dad bods, that's why, because their body's holding on to a lot of estrogen. That's why they develop man boobs, because of the high estrogen content. It can be easily avoided if you are mindful of these things. If you really value what you want to do, the decisions you want to make in your life, then you make the appropriate changes. If you have no issues with man boobs and having a beer gut, then by all means continue doing what you're doing. But if you're someone who's watching this and you want to kind of make that shift, definitely be mindful of these things and what you're consuming, the quantity, and how often you're consuming these things. Number 5 is weed. I know, Zach. I can't even have my weed now. Now, for a lot of people who aren't aware of this, you know, obviously weed is a drug. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad drug, because I have smoked weed in the past years ago. You know, there is some benefits to it, I feel like. But if you're smoking weed all the time, there is, you know, it actually releases estrogens in the body. There's some research that shows that. You can actually do a Google search for yourself. I'm not sitting here saying on all these things on the list that you should like cut out cold turkey. But if you notice people who are high performers, they're not over here doing weed all the time. You can tell people who are in great shape, they're not smoking weed all the time. If they are, it's probably occasionally. Like you can tell the difference between people who are like avid smokers and people who aren't. There's a difference in how they perform, how they feel. Some people are relying on it and they say that it gets them through the day. But if you look at it at a different perspective, if you take a far view from this on everything I'm talking about, this is probably going to be very helpful for you. Now, weed may have helped you. Weed may continue to help you. But if you take a step back and ask yourself, why am I using this? And what can I implement instead of just like smoking weed on the daily? You may find something healthier that can actually release, you know, the stress and help you release dopamines and help you, you know, have a better day, more productive day than just taking that time to puff. So if that makes sense, comment down below, makes sense. And let me know down below what your thoughts are so far in this video. And number 6 is legumes, beans, nuts. Now, This is a food, these are foods that you can eat in moderation. It's not as severe as the other ones on the list, but they still contain estrogen compounds. A lot of these foods that I've listed, like even brown rice, they all contain phytoestrogens, phytic acid, phytoestrogens are contained in like beans, legumes, nuts. And these things can like wreak havoc on your hormones as a man, and they can really pump like the estrogen up a notch in your body. So can you still eat these foods? Yeah. More sparingly, more in moderation than the other ones? Absolutely. But if you're eating these in excess, if these are a main piece of your diet, you really want to look at your diet, look at how you're feeling, look at your physical results, and see where you can make the adjustments. Because if you're developing these side effects as man boobs, excess body fat, it's hard to drop the body fat. You're feeling low in energy, and all these other things are stacking up. Really look at your diet, make these necessary adjustments, and tweak when needed. And last but not least, this one's going to be very debatable. This one's going to be very controversial, because a lot of people on one side will say that it's very detrimental to male health, and as in it's boosting your estrogen levels and it really screws the hormonal levels. And there's people on the other side, aka vegans, plant-based diet people, guys who are in really great shape, who promote eating this topic or this food, which is soy. In my opinion, it does do a lot of damage. I have consumed a lot of soy products in the past, and I developed a lot of these characteristics I'm talking about. I developed excess body fat. For any of you that's watching this, I did suffer from low testosterone when I was 21 years old. Had 150 nanogram per deciliter testosterone levels, which was horrible. I went from that healthy to that to really healthy again. So I kind of seen all the different perspectives, and according to my research that I've been able to gather, it does have a significant effect over time if you're consuming large doses. Now, there will be a population of people who say, oh, well, it doesn't affect me. You may be an outlier. There may be people who they can consume in moderation and not affect them. But overall, it's the quality of your diet. If you're consuming some soy every now and then, but you're eating a really good diet that's supporting your hormones, realistically, I don't think it's going to affect you that much. But if you're eating soy in conjunction with everything else on this list, in conjunction with poor lifestyle choices, in conjunction with not exercising, then yes, it's going to have a magnifying effect on your health. So with that said, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you can, go ahead and do me a big favor. Go ahead and click that notification bell. Go ahead and give this a like and subscribe to this channel, and let me know what you guys want to see in the next video down below. I hope you all have an amazing day, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. Have a good one.